Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon. It's Shirley with Spirit of Matter. We are in a moon day, Jupiter hour, and I'm going to call on Al-Qaid where the midheaven is right on. So Al-Qaid, the big bear, for protection, from assassination, from protection from thievery or stealing creative work, as we travel or as we send our creative ideas and patterns along the way. For algol, for shielding, protection, good wealth, good knowledge about wealth, and for to clarify all that is abuse of algol or archaic sacrifice associated to Medusa Gorgon, algol, or Beta per se. I'm going to call on the shielding energy of Beta per se. And of course, Andromeda, what Charon is, to reconcile, to curate for all the cases of kidnapping, of torture, and the reconcile within relationships and relations between nations. The topic for today is inspired by Lada Duncheva's exploration of digital coins and by her comment section. So you want to go over to Lada Duncheva if you want to get more information about that. And so one of the comments that she got, she was exploring a certain coin, I don't remember which, digital coin, and it has points on Aldebaran, which is associated with wealth, and it has points on algol, which is also associated with wealth. And so one of the comments was that that coin is associated with the globalism. And her job is to present the topic, not to present, she's not a financial advisor, we're astrologers, but more to observe what is going on, whether we can see spikes or not in certain digital currency. That brought a deeper pondering about, and that I've made talisman of Urano Algol, which is in the preparation. It still did not go through full moon cycle, but that in that talisman I had immediately the channeling odd energy for Ronald Bernard. And you want to listen to Ronald Bernard because he is survivor of the cult and is ex-banker and what they would consider top criminal, but that was his job as banker. And so immediately when I think about algol, I have addressed the use of algol in political assassinations or archaic worships of algol, Chinamastra, including sacrifice, blood sacrifice, and so on, which is not the way we work with algol. It should have been needless to say, but in this economy, it is a good disclaimer. Good, correct work with algol that I have seen without the doom and gloom associated with this, and again associate the doom and gloom to Luciferian lineages and traditions, where even if you want to work without sacrifice, because you're associated with Luciferian, there would be constraints, and therefore people would get, my prediction is therefore people would get constraints on the working with algol. For the talisman, you just need to make sure algol is not minima, because this is eclipse energy, and that is why it's considered very complicated. It's not a beginner magic, and you can learn more from Crasia Tassio, which is fascinating information from Babylonian astrology. A good, simple practice that you can find with algol is by Christopher Warnock. And Christopher Warnock made the whole talismanic work. Okay, it's one of the people that made it come again to life amongst especially Renaissance astrology. Okay, of course he's Babylonian, then he's doing it from Renaissance astrology. Roman Kolov, I believe, is also Babylonian. He also has work with algol. And again, it is a great wealth talisman. What you need to consider is the story for algol, all the triggers. She was raped and murdered, not believed, punished for speaking up. Her hair was turned into snakes. You may associate her with Chinamastra, which is lightning and thunder, storm goddess. ancient Indian goddess, and Indian like India, okay? And she's together with Indra. So there are a lot of things for the. She's both the very lush and sensual and a beautiful and proudly beautiful and sensual woman, and then the phase where she was raped, she tried to speak for herself, she wasn't believed, and then she was even murdered and punished for speaking up. This is not good signification. She's associated with addictions, with a psychic attack or psychosis, with wounds, okay, to the throat, to the face, even to the eyes. But what is also important to understand is we work talismanically, we work with magic, then, or we petition algol and connect with algol, then is working to prevent all these things. And she's also, as goddess of storm, associated with electrocution, even without Uranus. So immediately turns us to satanic ritual abuse. Okay, she's called by the Arabs the head of Satan. Okay, but when we work with algol accurately, without blood sacrifice, then we give honor and reverence to victims. We believe victims. We value victims. We practice housing first and open dialogue when it comes to treating mental health. We give resources to whistleblowers. We abolish sex trafficking, child trafficking, human trafficking, okay? It's not just expandable children and then when they grow up. No, also sex trafficking. Very important, because she was raped and not believed and murdered, okay? We allow survivors to speak. This is algol remediation. And then we get the presence in the body, the sanity, the protection of our truth, and the sensuality and the wealth back. So this is correct work with algol. What Christopher Warnock does is not what I said, this is what I bring to the table. What Christopher Warnock does is basically whenever the midheaven or ascendant is on algol, and he's Sufi Islamic, so he calls algol and the god. I think he's using Raziel, okay, Raziel, the divine, and algol, and invokes her in that way, or you can invoke for algol in whichever way you see fit, and give reverence. This brings peace, deflecting of any negative energy, setting the boundaries that you want to set, okay, for the intentions that you have, whether it's for your business or what you do, and it is good for sales, okay? And indeed, the number one talisman that's sold in Renaissance astrology is a gold talisman. So that is for the people who think algol is evil or no. But when we are talking about coins, and this is something that is pondering upon with the inspiration of Lada's research, because of what I know from the testimonial of Ronald Bernard and financial whistleblowers, then we know that currently banking, digital or not, is done. Well, what did I sing? Our beat drops the cold and the beat gets low, meaning Bitcoin. Okay, for those who even doubted that that's what I meant, is because when it comes to the trade, most things that are done, even good things that are done in the world, especially those, it's not just tax evasion, but it's money laundering of child organ trade, child sex trafficking that is used to extort the people in the public positions, whether it is, the artist Jaguar Wright talks about politicians, judges, Supreme Court judges, and so on. But also the archbishops and the clergy, the rabbinical and the imams, okay, and the chiefs. Nobody is exempt. Okay, if you are a part of the secret societies that supposedly were sent to unite the world and avoid wars, but what they do is exactly the opposite, unfortunately. And then also the good things are done in this way. And for Ronald Bernard, it stopped because he was survivor of child sexual abuse. Then he could not do when it comes to children, and he went to a near-death experience. He tried to kill himself, and we want to listen to his testimonial. But for the lower ranks, but you don't sign with blood yet, you still do human trafficking and so on, and then you move the money in a way that is making this business invisible. But that's what he called het grote geld, okay, the big money. And that is something that we want to pay attention to, is when we have currencies and we have their charts and we see algol points, okay, a point to consider is that this might not denote of wealth in the way we understand wealth, but it might denote of archaic satanic abuse, supposedly in the name of algol, which is ridiculous, but all satanic abuse, all trading children is ridiculous, okay? It's harming the fabric of the galaxy. Now with Sedna and Gemini, it's the fabric of we're interfering the fabric of the galaxy, but not favorably. It sounds, what I say sounds outrageous, but believe me, 20 years from now, you would wonder, why did nobody warn us? Okay? It's interfering in the fabric of the galaxies and the frequencies between the galaxies, and all done in attempts to control for the wealth of planets, not just Earth, okay? And so these are all rituals, and very archaic rituals that now we know we don't need. And so, and it causes tremendous suffering, tremendous trauma. So when you think about investing, please consider that algol point is not necessarily the wealth that you associate with. You need to understand algol. And again, go to Gracia Tasio, go to Christopher Warnock, watch my videos that are associated with algol. Watch videos about algol. Okay, there's a wealth of information about this fixed star today that wasn't there just 5 years ago. Okay, that allows you to begin to interact and begin to work yourself, so that you will avoid the building up another 9/11. Okay, because algol is also the planet of bodies upon bodies, and it doesn't matter if you think 9/11 was inside job, not inside job. The phenomena, okay, there was 5,000 people dead, human beings, okay, and many more when you think about Taliban and Afghanistan and so on, the refugees and so on. But algol is also the planet of bodies upon bodies. And so there are attempts to gain from the head of Satan, okay, and to gain from bodies upon bodies, to gain material gain from bodies upon bodies, from mass wars, democides, genocides. Okay, for if you can sell the people, you can sell, but you can also create acquisitions and mergers on real estate, on natural resources, through mass killing. Okay, but the people that dream in Israel, the people that dream about, I don't know, having hotels in Gaza and having housing in Gaza and having this and having that, they will have maybe a grave in Gaza, but okay. But they, they listen to the cult maybe, or they listen, I don't know, or maybe they think, and also because when you are presented as you were invaded by the Palestinians, it's like you think every Muhammad and Saleh and Fatima are now running up against you, then of course you have a lot of rage and we're like, I will build my house there, okay, which is the worst thing to do energetically. But that is something also, this is the way it is presented. I talked about what the nation state is and isn't in my last video, that symbolizes also Sol opposing Pluto, okay, in Shamash God. So I do want you to understand that if you see a peak in the coin, it can be a peak that is achieved because of these giant wars and this giant mass human sacrifice of children, of people, of sex trafficking, of democide. And so you will see a peak. You will see a peak because algol is bodies upon bodies, and because the decision makers are satanic. And this is a ritual associated with that. So you will see a peak. Yes? But you need to also, if you want true wealth, and not just to think you can see a peak, but when you want to cash in on that peak, there are implications. Okay? There are implications to that. It's just about what you made your money. Okay? Also, I say, and I say it many times, I am a survivor of whistleblowing to workplaces, and then eventually I wanted to study. I said, give me that or give me studies. They gave me studies, and then, well, basically, what I make money is welfare, and this is not a social worker supported, and this is basically both taking away the budget from planning another genocide. This is why I didn't get my business on from Archangel Michael point of view, from Christ consciousness point of view. Of course, I had colleagues that didn't want me to compete with them or this or that. Okay, fine. Okay, I'm recovering from CPTSD. Sometimes I work, sometimes I am tired, but they were intimidated because I'm skilled, but they are skilled too. I don't know, people are crazy sometimes. But yes, of course, this seems like the mundane reason, but the divine perspective is more, yes, I'm meant to do what I'm doing today, and for to alchemize what the money that comes through, what is Rothschild, Rockefeller, that comes through the state Israel, and so it not goes to another Holocaust, okay? So I take for this money, and then I, what I do, because I cannot keep a job, but I give these teachings, and these teachings are for to change the basis on which our economy lies, so that we can touch true wealth, this connection, because we all do it for the safety for our families, for to live a good life, and essentially, you know, to compete inflation and so on. And so we all want to be responsible. This is how I started, okay? I wanted to understand what would I invest my money and how to take responsibility of my financial resources, so maybe I can come back and I can find a job that I can hold, although I tried to do that before the crisis to no avail. And, you know, I try to work on myself, and then work on yourself, and then, you know, if it's working on yourself in Hebrew, it's called la'avod al atzmi, which basically means to fool myself. So there was only so much I could fool myself. The problem is me. And so I'm a problematic person, that's absolutely true. But I'm not the entire problems of the entire world yet. So... yes, a little bit of humble new beginnings. And so what I actually do is, because I tend to this topic, to build the foundations for wealth upon which many businesses can grow without expanding the children, the lives, the people. And the more I can do of this, then the more I'm doing something good to the world, and for the money that is receiving from welfare, at least is going to this objective rather than to plan the next Holocaust or the next democide or the next invasion or the next colonialist project of some globalist whatso that sacrifices children to the head of Satan, who is actually the antithesis of how you're supposed to work with algol. And so pay attention, okay? What I suggest for you, if you do want to purchase of these coins, okay? Because not all of you are living on welfare, not all of you are whistleblowers, not all of you have made peace with death and thus found peace in life. I celebrate life. I'm not a preacher for death. It's not a death cult here. And so, but yes, for to be in this position, yes, I had to speak, to make peace with death as well. And most of you just run families or want to have families. But what I would suggest is to begin to work with algol, even in a simple way. Christopher Warnock works with it, and you don't have to call on like Raziel or something if you're not for that religion, but to pay attention, to give reverence, to light a candle to algol with the ascendant or with the midheaven, maybe once a week, maybe to buy talisman. And so if you want to purchase of these coins, bless the coin for the transformation to abolish child trafficking, to abolish sex trafficking, to abolish democides, and so on. So you come in contact, okay, you make business, you put energy in, and then you work or move the energy around, okay? I haven't tested of my talisman. I made talismanic oil and very little talismanic honey. I don't think it's, and it would take months before I can even think about sharing this. But perhaps in future ones or future algol ones, I could be able to offer you like talismanic oil where you can anoint or you can light candle. But also, I must say, before I say this, I say you don't need this. This is more extra reverence if you want to. It doesn't make your practice more or less good. Okay, so I'm not going to the place where Jesus had to put the, okay, for all the people that made business of religion, that they had to put it back. You don't have to use any of this to make contact with algol. But if you want to support art or creative work and to dedicate creative work, if you like to use essential oils, if you like, okay, for rituals or stuff like that, if you like that and you can afford that and you want to make for the interaction, then it's possible. Not yet, but maybe in the future. But what I want you to do is that when you make contact with this coin, or when you make contact with money in general, with credit card, bless it and set intention and ask algol for the next steps, so that it will improve upon your wealth genuinely, okay? So you're not making wealth from bodies upon bodies of innocent people, but rather alchemizing for this type of archaic practices and get new ideas and get new steps of what to do. That's a way to tend to that without putting your family in risk that you cannot sustain. So this is something that kind of comes in mind. And for when do these coins peak, you can check Lada Duncheva's channel, and she's doing great work with analyzing the peaks of digital coins with relation to the fixed stars, and that can be, and also with Aldebaran. Aldebaran, she talks about Aldebaran, Christ consciousness, Archangel Michael. I add mint essential oil, which is very Archangel Michael associated, or mint herb, that you can use to make contact with the energy, so that this money will not be a pyrrhus winning, okay, so a win that is a lose, but rather a win that is truly fulfilling. Yes, that is in favor of you and humanity. So I'll see you in another episode. Hope you have a nice Sun opposition Pluto transit, and I'm off to watching for night light astrology of the video of Sun opposition Pluto. Let's see if I have very likely more to say about this transit. For me, it is meta, because the two videos I made today, they describe the transit. You just have to listen. So yes, I'll see you in another video. Bye bye.